Have you ever heard a tale where a king uh, disguises himself to, uncover a series of secrets, each more bizarre than the last? Well, in Iran, we have just such a story. Welcome to Iranian Things, everyone. This is episode 129. I'm Q Mars.
And I'm Tanaz.
And we're really glad you're here with us as we sort of jump into the world of Iranian folklore and mythology.
And even sometimes a bit of cryptozoology. You know, we try to explore the lesser-known parts of Iranian culture.
Today's deep dive is on a story called The King, the Dervish, and the Seven Golden Gifts.
Oh, a fascinating story. It seems simple at first, like you think it's just a quest for answers, but as you get deeper into it, it's really about the interconnectedness of all of these different people's lives, and it's about sorrow and betrayal and love.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. We have a dervish, a wandering mystic.
Right.
And he receives 7 plates piled high with gold. And not just any plates, right? They're made of gold.
Yeah. It's such an extravagant gift that, I mean, it immediately makes you wonder, where did this come from? Who gave this to him?
Right. And it turns out this gift comes from a mysterious woman.
Mm-hmm.
And then our king enters the story.
Our king loves a good mystery. So he hears about this and decides he's going to go undercover and figure out what this is all about.
So he dresses up as the dervish.
Right.
And goes to the woman's house and basically demands an audience with her, right?
He wants answers.
He wants answers.
But this woman's no fool. She's not going to just give up her secrets that easily. So she gives the king a challenge instead.
Okay, I like it already.
Yeah.
A challenge. All right, lay it on me. What's the challenge?
She tells him about a saddler in a distant city,
Yeah.
a craftsman who makes these beautiful saddles, but every day he paints 2 images on the saddle. And as the sun sets, a rider shows up and tries to buy the saddle.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sounds normal so far. So what's the mystery here?
Well, instead of selling the saddle, he rips it apart, and he falls into this deep despair, and no one understands why. So her challenge to the king is, if you can figure out why this saddler is doing this, why he's destroying these beautiful creations, then I will tell you my secret.
Okay, so now the king is off on this journey. He's got to solve this mystery. But before we go too far down this road, I want to talk about the Simurgh.
The Simurgh.
You mentioned it at the beginning, this magical bird.
Oh, yes, of course. This is one of those creatures that are just so deeply embedded in Iranian folklore, the Simurgh.
So as the king is traveling to find this saddler, he comes across a nest of baby Simurghs.
Oh, baby Simurgh.
And they're being attacked by a dragon. And so, of course, being the noble and courageous ruler he is, he steps in to save them.
Classic hero move right there.
Right. And for his actions, the mother Simurgh rewards him with a few of her feathers.
Powerful feathers.
And she tells him that anytime he needs help, all he has to do is burn a feather and she will come to his aid.
Such a powerful image, too. And it really emphasizes the importance of, kindness and compassion, even in the face of something as scary as a dragon.
Yeah, yeah. And before we continue on this journey, we want to remind everyone to subscribe to the show and like and comment on this episode.
We always love to hear from you guys.
Yes. And check out the playlist for even more amazing tales from Iranian mythology.
It's a real treasure trove of stories.
Okay, so the king continues his journey, and eventually he reaches the city of the saddler.
Right.
And he sees this ritual, this behavior firsthand. He sees the beautiful saddles, the 2 paintings, and he sees this rider arrive, and he sees the saddler just rip it apart.
So much anguish.
And so, like anyone, who's trying to solve a mystery,
Okay.
He confronts the saddler, right? He's got to know why.
Demands an explanation.
He demands an explanation.
But just like the mysterious woman, the saddler doesn't just give up his secret. He has a condition.
Oh, here we go again. Another condition. What's this one?
He tells the king about a muezzin in another city. And, the muezzin is the one who calls the faithful to prayer. And so this muezzin, every day, he climbs the minaret with this joy and this enthusiasm to give the call to prayer. But as soon as he comes down, he's overcome with grief.
So he's happy to do the call to prayer, but sad when it's over.
Right.
Okay, that is another mystery. What's the saddler's condition?
He says, if you can figure out why this muezzin behaves this way, then I will tell you my secret.
Wow. So the king now has 2 mysteries.
2 mysteries to solve.
Both somehow connected back to this woman and her 7 golden gifts. It's like a chain reaction.
Each encounter leads to another question, another mystery, pulling him deeper and deeper into this story. The king's path leads him straight to that very scene. So he finds the muezzin and he witnesses the strange behavior firsthand. that joy beforehand and then the sorrow that follows. And, like a good investigator, he asked the muezzin, like, what is going on here?
Okay, but I'm starting to sense a pattern here. But the muezzin doesn't just spill the beans, right?
You're absolutely right. He doesn't reveal his secret just like that. He says, sure, I'll tell you, but first you have to solve another mystery for me.
Oh, come on. Another one. All right, what is it this time?
This one involves a man in another city who has this really disturbing ritual. He keeps a woman locked in a cage, and there's a dog chained nearby. And when it's time to eat, he feeds the dog first, but the woman only gets whatever scraps are left on the plate.
Oh, that's awful. I can't even imagine the humiliation and the despair she must feel.
It's a pretty brutal detail, and it really shows you the depths of cruelty that people are capable of. But it gets even worse. When the woman refuses to eat those scraps, he takes out this dried human head and starts beating it with a stick. It's like he's punishing her through the head for her defiance.
Oh, that's a horrifying image. It seems like each step of this journey just gets darker and darker. So what does the king do? This guy sounds dangerous.
Well, he does what any good hero in a folktale would do. He keeps going. He has to get to the bottom of this. So he uses his disguise as the dervish, and he travels to this city, and he actually manages to become a guest in this man's house. He watches this whole thing unfold, the caged woman, the dog eating, the woman's refusal, and then this man's reaction. It's a dangerous game the king is playing, but he's determined to find out the truth.
Okay, so he actually confronts the man, like demands to know what's going on.
He does, and you can imagine the man is not happy about this at all. He tells the king that he's killed anyone who dared to question him before, which, that's a pretty clear reminder of the risks involved in this whole search for the truth.
Okay, now I'm really hooked.
Yeah.
So what happens? Does the king get away? Or does he become another victim of this vengeful man?
Well, this is where the story takes a really interesting turn. The man, he sees how determined the king is, and he actually decides to tell him his story. And it's a story of betrayal, the kind that just eats away at you, It's about love and trust that gets completely shattered and the path of revenge that follows.
Wow, I'm all ears. Tell me what happened.
So he tells the king that he was deeply in love with his wife. She was also his cousin, and for a while they were happy. But then he started to suspect that she wasn't faithful to him. He would notice her coming back to bed late at night, and her body would be unusually cold. When he asked her about it, she would just say, "Oh, it's my stomach. I've been having pains."
Right, but that sounds like a pretty convenient excuse. I have a feeling that wasn't the whole story.
Exactly. So one night, he decides he's going to follow her. He's just consumed by suspicion. And what he finds is, well, shocking.
All right, don't leave me hanging. What did he see?
He follows her to a secret door, and when he peeks inside, he sees his wife in a room full of 40 bandits. She's their cupbearer. She's laughing and carrying on with them. It turns out the woman he loved, the woman he trusted, was leading this whole double life. Just imagine that betrayal,
Wow, that's devastating. I mean, that explains the anger, the desire for revenge, but it still doesn't justify what he did.
No, absolutely not. But in that moment, he's blinded by jealousy and rage. He decides to take matters into his own hands. He sneaks into the stable, lets the horses loose, and the chaos draws the bandits out. And in a fit of fury, he kills each one of them. He only spares his wife and the bandit leader because he has something else in mind for them.
Oh, okay, so that's where the severed head comes from, the bandit leader. He kept it as a trophy of his revenge.
Exactly. It's a constant reminder of his wife's betrayal, a symbol of everything she took from him. But the story doesn't end there. He confronts his wife and the bandit leader. A fight breaks out, and just when it seems like the leader is going to strike the final blow, his loyal dog, who had followed him, attacks from behind. The man manages to kill the bandit leader, but the damage is already done.
Right. His trust is gone. His whole world is shattered. It's a classic story of love turned to hate.
You got it. And the consequences of that hate, they play out in this brutal treatment of his wife. The cage, the dog eating first, the head, it's all part of this twisted cycle of pain and retribution.
So after sharing this whole horrific story with the king, he was still planning to kill him.
Yes. He even gave the king a chance to pray before meeting his end. But this is where the Simurgh's feathers come in. While he's pretending to pray, the king secretly burns one of those feathers. He's calling for help.
And I bet the Simurgh shows up just in the nick of time.
Of course. She swoops in, all feathers and wind, carries the king off to safety.
But what about the man? Does he face any consequences for his actions, for his brutal form of justice?
Knowing that his dark secret has been revealed, the man, overwhelmed by despair and guilt, takes his own life.
Oh, wow.
But before doing so, he tragically ends his wife's suffering, delivering a final devastating act of what he perceives as justice.
What a tragic end to that chapter of the story. It leaves you with a lot to think about.
It ends the cycle of violence, but it doesn't really answer the questions, does it?
No, not really. It's a reminder that even in a story with magical elements, the consequences of our actions are very real.
And it leaves us with this thought: was his punishment justified? Or was he just a victim of his own pain and anger?
Tough questions to think about.
Yeah.
But we still have two more mysteries to unravel, right? The muezzin's sorrow and the saddler's grief. I can't wait to hear how those stories unfold. Okay, so we've traveled down some pretty dark paths with this story, but I have a feeling there's still more to uncover. We still need to figure out the mystery of the muezzin and his conflicting emotions, and then there's the saddler who destroys his beautiful creations.
Right, we're not done yet. The king escapes from the vengeful husband and goes back to the muezzin. He's ready to share what he learned and hopefully get some answers about the muezzin's weird behavior.
So he tells him about the betrayal, the dog, the severed head, the whole thing.
He does, and the muezzin, I think he's really impressed with the king's bravery and determination. So he finally opens up and tells his own story of love and loss, and it explains why he laughs before the call to prayer but cries afterward.
All right, I'm ready for some more wisdom from Iranian folklore. What did he say?
Well, he tells the king that he used to be a happily married man. He had a child, they lived in a different city. But one day, he got into an argument with his wife and he hit her in anger. And then a storm came out of nowhere, and when he woke up, he found himself back in his own city, completely alone.
So the storm, magically transported him, separated him from his family. Okay, that explains the sadness, but what about the laughter?
Every day, he climbs the minaret, hoping that somehow, maybe he can return to his wife and child. But as the call to prayer ends, he's hit with the reality that he's still separated from them. The laughter is the hope. The tears are the love and pain of being apart.
Wow, that's powerful. It adds another layer to the story. It shows us that even the most outlandish stories have roots in these very human experiences. Love, loss, hope, and despair.
Exactly.
So the king has solved two mysteries now, each one more heartbreaking than the last. What about the final mystery, the saddler?
Well, he goes back to the saddler, tells him the muezzin's tragic story, and waits for the saddler to hold up his end of the bargain.
And the saddler's story, it's got to be just as interesting and connected to Iranian lore as the others.
The saddler begins by painting a picture of his former life. He was a solitary bachelor accustomed to taking care of everything himself.
No.
But then one day, he returned home to find his house immaculately clean and a delectable meal waiting for him.
That sounds like a dream come true.
Oh.
Who wouldn't want to come home to a spotless house and a delicious dinner after a long day?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? And at first the saddler was delighted. But this continued for several days, and his delight slowly morphed into curiosity, then suspicion. He had to know who this mysterious housekeeper was.
I have a feeling this wasn't just a friendly neighbor lending a helping hand. My guess is we're about to meet a magical being of some sort.
Right.
Am I right?
You are absolutely right. One day the saddler decided to hide and observe. And what he witnessed was truly astonishing. A dove flew in through the window, shed its feathers, and transformed into a woman of extraordinary beauty.
Whoa, hold on. A dove that turns into a woman. This sounds like something straight out of a myth.
It is. This was no ordinary woman. She was a peri, a supernatural being from Persian mythology, renowned for their captivating beauty and enchanting magical powers. They're often associated with nature, particularly with water and air, symbolizing a connection between the human and the supernatural realms.
That's incredible. No wonder the saddler was captivated. So what happened next? Did they fall in love?
The saddler was instantly smitten, utterly enchanted by her ethereal beauty. He gathered his courage and asked for her hand in marriage. The peri, touched by his sincerity, agreed, but with a stern warning. She laid down two unbreakable rules. He must never question her actions and never, under any circumstances, raise a hand against her.
Those are some pretty serious rules. It seems like a high price to pay for love. But then again, love often demands that we surrender to the unknown.
It does indeed. And so they married and had a son, their love blossoming amidst this mysterious arrangement.
Oh.
However, one day the peri did something that truly tested the limits of the saddler's love and trust.
Oh no, what does she do? I'm getting a bad feeling about this.
Picture this. The peri took their infant son and, to the saddler's horror, threw him into a blazing hot oven.
What? That's horrific.
Yeah.
How could she do such a thing? What was she thinking?
In the face of the saddler's sheer terror and disbelief, the peri simply uttered two words. take your sister.
Wait a minute. Take your sister. But they only had a son. I'm so confused. What's going on here?
Remember the rules the Peri laid down. The saddler was forbidden from questioning her actions, no matter how strange or terrifying they might seem.
Right.
So, bound by his promise, he remained silent, grappling with a maelstrom of emotions. Time passed, and they had a daughter. And then the unthinkable happened again. The Peri took their daughter and threw her into the burning oven, calmly instructing the saddler to take your brother.
This is some serious trust exercise.
Yeah.
It's like she was pushing him to the absolute brink, testing the very core of his love and devotion.
You could say that. It was a test of faith, of unconditional love.
Yeah.
But this time, the saddler couldn't contain himself. Overcome by grief and anger, he lashed out, breaking his promise and striking his wife.
Oh, no. He broke the cardinal rule. I can only imagine the consequences of such a transgression. What happened next?
Months passed, filled with a heavy silence between them. Then one ordinary day, the Peri was baking bread. As the aroma filled the air, she called out to her husband, "Give me the children." And what happened next defied all logic and reason. Both children emerged from the oven unharmed and full of life.
Wow. So it was all an elaborate test, a date of his unconditional love and unwavering trust.
It seems so. The Peri's actions, as perplexing and terrifying as they were designed to gauge the depth of the saddler's love. But by striking her, he failed the test, shattering the delicate balance of their relationship.
That must have been devastating for him, to realize that his momentary lapse in faith, his inability to fully surrender to the unknown, cost him so much.
It was a profound loss. Heartbroken and unable to remain in the human world after his betrayal, the Peri took the children and vanished, leaving the saddler utterly alone.
That's so incredibly sad. To lose your beloved and your children in such a way, it's a pain I can't even fathom. But wait, how does this tie back to the saddles, the mystery we've been trying to solve?
The saddler, consumed by grief and longing, found a unique way to keep the memory of his children alive. On each saddle he creates, he meticulously paints their images, pouring his heart and soul into each brushstroke. And every day he destroys them because he can't bear to part with these tangible reminders of his lost family.
That's heartbreaking, but also incredibly beautiful. He found a way to channel his grief, his love, into his art. It's a testament to the enduring power of love, even in the face of unimaginable loss.
I agree. The saddler's story reminds us that grief and love are often intertwined, two sides of the same coin. It's a poignant reminder that even in the darkest of times, love can find a way to shine through.
The king has now heard the saddler's tale, the muezzin's tale, and the harrowing story of the man with the caged woman. He's carrying a lot of emotional baggage.
Right.
But he still needs to solve the original mystery. The mystery that started this entire chain of events. The woman and her golden plates.
You're right. The king returns to the woman, his heart heavy with the weight of the stories he's gathered. He recounts each tale, each layer of this intricate human drama, and she listens intently impressed by his persistence and the risks he's taken to uncover the truth.
So is she finally ready to reveal her secret? The reason behind her extraordinary generosity?
She is, and her story is just as captivating as the others, weaving together threads of alchemy, betrayal, and a unique form of justice.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. I can't wait to hear this. Why had she been bestowing all this gold upon strangers?
The woman reveals that her late husband was an alchemist, a master of transforming base metals into gold. But there's a dark side to his craft, a secret that casts a shadow over his legacy.
Of course there is. This is Iranian Things, after all. There's always a twist, always a hidden layer to uncover. What was her husband's secret?
He would invite people into their home, offering them hospitality and warmth. But then, under the guise of generosity, he would drug them with a potent alchemical concoction, a potion that would transform them into gold.
That's chilling. Was she aware of her husband's sinister practices? Was she complicit in his dark deeds?
She doesn't explicitly state her involvement, but it's implied that she knew what her husband was doing. But the story doesn't end there. It takes another dark turn, a twist fueled by betrayal and a lust for power.
Oh no, what happened? Did someone betray her husband? Was he a victim of his own dark magic?
They had a servant, a man consumed by desire for the alchemist's wife. He concocted a plan driven by envy and lust. He poisoned the alchemist with the very same alchemical potion. The potion that transformed flesh and bone into cold, lifeless gold.
Wow, talk about adding insult to injury. To be betrayed by the one you trusted to be transformed into the very substance you sought to control. It's a cruel twist of fate. So what became of the servant? Did he get away with his treachery?
Oh, he didn't escape justice. The alchemist's wife, fueled by a righteous fury, devised a plan of her own, a plan to avenge her husband's murder. She tricked the servant into drinking the alchemical potion, condemning him to the same fate he inflicted upon her husband.
That's some poetic justice. An eye for an eye, a life for a life transformed into the very substance that fueled their greed and betrayal. It's a chilling tale, but I can understand her need for revenge.
Indeed. And ever since that fateful day, she has been using the gold her husband created, along with the gold the servant became, to help those in need, attempting to atone for the darkness that stained her past.
So that's why she was giving away all that gold to the dervish. She was trying to use it for good, to balance the scales of justice, to find some semblance of redemption. It's a fascinating reflection on the complexities of morality and the enduring struggle between good and evil.
It is. Her story highlights the intricate tapestry of human motivations. It challenges us to consider the gray areas of right and wrong, the blurred lines between justice and revenge.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. Each of these stories, woven together like threads in a magnificent rug, explores a different facet of human nature: betrayal, revenge, lost love, and the unwavering pursuit of justice.
Right.
It's like a kaleidoscope of human experience, reflecting both the beauty and the darkness that reside within us all.
That's a beautiful way to put it. These tales passed down through generations offer a glimpse into the timeless struggles of the human heart.
So what happens next? Does the king, having fulfilled his end of the bargain, claim his reward? Does he marry the woman and inherit all that gold?
He does, in fact, propose marriage, captivated by her story and her extraordinary generosity. However, she politely declines his offer.
Oh.
She's not interested in remarrying.
Oh,
Her heart, it seems, still belongs to her departed husband.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
She's already endured so much loss, so much betrayal. It's as if she's chosen to dedicate her life to honoring her husband's memory, even though it's a memory tainted by darkness.
It's a testament to the enduring power of love and loyalty, even in the face of adversity. But while she refuses his proposal, she does offer him a reward.
Oh.
She shares half of her gold with him, recognizing his efforts and the sacrifices he's made to unravel the truth.
Not a bad consolation prize. He returns to his kingdom a wealthier man, but more importantly, he returns a wiser man. He's gained insights into the human condition, into the complexities of morality and the enduring power of love and loss.
Exactly. His journey wasn't just about uncovering secrets or acquiring wealth. It was a journey of self-discovery, a journey that led him through the darkest corners of the human heart and illuminated the power of compassion, the importance of good deeds, and the enduring strength of the human spirit.
What a wild ride. This story has it all: mystery, adventure, romance, betrayal, magic, and even a touch of the macabre. I can see why the king, the dervish, and the seven golden gifts has endured as a beloved tale in Iranian folklore.
It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even in ancient stories, we find reflections of our own hopes, fears, and struggles.
Right.
The human experience, it seems, transcends time and culture.
Absolutely. And that's what makes these deep dives so rewarding. We unearth these hidden gems of wisdom and insight, these timeless stories that still resonate with us today. But before we wrap things up, I want to touch on a few key takeaways from The King, the Dervish, and the Seven Golden Gifts.
Great idea. Let's distill some of the wisdom embedded in this intricate tale.
First and foremost, it highlights the interconnectedness of our lives. Each character's story is interwoven with the others, much like our own lives are intricately connected to the people around us.
Right.
We're not isolated beings. Our choices ripple outward, impacting others in ways we may never fully comprehend.
That's a powerful point. It reminds us of the butterfly effect, the notion that even the smallest actions can have profound and far-reaching consequences.
Right. And second, this tale emphasizes the importance of compassion and good deeds. Remember how the king's selfless act of saving the Simurgh's chicks ultimately saved his own life?
It's a classic example of reaping what you sow.
Yeah.
Kindness, it seems, has a way of returning to us often when we need it most.
Exactly. And finally, this story delves into the complex themes of justice, revenge, and forgiveness. It reminds us that while the desire for revenge can be a powerful motivator, it can also be incredibly destructive, leading to a cycle of pain and suffering.
It's a timeless dilemma, a struggle that is played out throughout human history.
It is. And this story doesn't offer any easy answers. It doesn't provide a simple solution to this age-old conflict.
Right.
But it does encourage us to reflect on our own values, to consider how we approach these complex issues in our own lives. Do we seek retribution or understanding? Do we perpetuate the cycle of pain or strive to break free from it?
Well said. It's a question that each of us must grapple with, a question that lies at the heart of our shared humanity.
So there you have it, folks. A deep dive into the King the Dervish and the Seven Golden Gifts. A tale brimming with twists, turns, and thought-provoking insights into the human condition.
Absolutely.
It's a story that challenges us to examine our own beliefs, our own motivations, and our own capacity for both darkness and light.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating explorations of Iranian culture, folklore, and mythology. We have a treasure trove of stories waiting to be discovered, stories that will transport you to different worlds, spark your imagination, and leave you pondering the mysteries of the human heart.
And as always, we love hearing from you. If you were in the king's shoes, would you have risked your life to uncover these secrets? Would you have been so driven to unravel the truth, even if it meant facing your deepest fears? And what do you think is the most important moral lesson we can learn from this tale? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Yes.
We're always eager to hear your perspectives and engage in meaningful conversations.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the spirit of curiosity alive.